Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. Welcome to the show, Georgia. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's lovely to finally speak with you about your work because I've been following you for so long and you've done so many amazing things in Paris, continuing to do amazing things. I shot your wedding. That was really fun. It was the portraits more so. It was those beautiful portraits that were so fun too. And talk a little bit about where you're from and what brought you to Paris.
So I'm from Wellington, New Zealand, very far away from Paris, France, just about as far as you can go. And I came to France initially on a high school exchange after I finished high school, and then on a university exchange. And I met my husband during that time. And then I moved here nearly 10 years ago, like definitively.
That's amazing. And I love how you said you met him like a high school exchange and you're like, I'm not going to fall in love with this guy. And then you totally fell in love.
Yeah, he was really patient. He waited 3 years after high school for me to work out that I was in love with him. And then that was it.
That's so sweet. I love that. And talk a little bit about your work as a classical singer. Like, how are you trained? How did you learn to sing?
So I sang like basically from when I talked. I was the singer growing up. But the reason I trained as a classical singer was basically because I was told that I should, and that's what you do. So I sang all through high school. I did competitions. I went to university and I studied classical voice performance at university. And then I came to Paris and I studied classical voice with a private teacher. And then I realized I didn't really want to be a classical singer. I had done it for the wrong reasons. I didn't love the music that I was singing. I didn't like being told what I should sing. And I decided that I didn't really want that as a career. So I stepped away from it. And then I basically spent the last decade unlearning all the shoulds and discovering the joy of singing on my own terms. So I very rarely sing classical voice anything now. Every now and then I can be persuaded, but mostly I just sing whatever I feel like. And sometimes it's classical, but mostly it's just about everything else.
That's so great that you were able to change into, doing what you want. And we'll talk about this later, but helping people do that as well, helping people sing and find their voice. But talk a little bit about the difference between classical singing versus, just singing.
So classical singing is a particular style of singing. People might be familiar with it as opera, but opera is just one part of the entire classical genre. It is very prescribed as to what the sound has to sound like, what the repertoire is, what the songs are that you sing, and how you would sing them. And that's just partly because of the technicality of it. So most classical singing is not amplified. No, there's no mics. So you are filling the stage and the entire auditorium that you're singing in, sometimes which are massive, with no amplification. So the way that you sing has to fit that space. So the way that you would sing like a pop song or a musical theatre song is just not possible if you're not using amplification. So partly it's like technical, and then partly it's just like that is the genre, that's how you sing it. And there's very little like room for your own expression within that because it's very kind of standardized. Singing in general is something that I believe everyone can do, everyone should do if they want to. And there are lots of other different styles of singing, some of which have very prescribed like kind of rules, if you like, or guidelines for like what we expect it would sound like. Like, for example, like musical theatre tends to have more of like a straight tone compared to very, very like vibrato-y in classical music, but there's much more flexibility, I would say, in other genres. And as people will know, like listening to the radio, you know, pop singers kind of do whatever they like, and there are various like styles that, you know, are in at the moment, or, you know, go through phases. The Billie Eilish, like very breathy and light singing, which has become like part of her style, is something that you're hearing like more and more in other artists, because it's something that, you know, we enjoy doing. It's fun. And that's what's in at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Because like a lot of people were making fun of that at first, being like, is this even a song? You know, like, how long is this? Like, what is music? And like, that's something that's commonly talked about today too, is like all these pop singers, they have, you know, computers and things like that to make their voices sound better. Like, what are your feelings about that? Like, do you think these people actually really can sing, or do you think we're kind of losing that in today's pop music?
So I think that there's like two sides to that coin. One is that I think that the technology that we have available to us to make creative choices with is amazing. So the sound editing that's possible now is really cool. It makes it possible to do loops. That's been around for a long time, but you can do it in much more detail. It's not something that I'm specialized in, by the way, but, you know, I know that it exists. And the creativity that people can play with in that kind of techno world is very cool. At the same time, it is easy to forget that that's happening. So I like to compare it a little bit to like Photoshop, like with photos, and you'll deeply relate to this. The pop culture has gone through a revolution, I think, of kind of understanding that for a long time we were airbrushing photos and like editing photos to the point that they were like completely not real or realistic. But then people were comparing their like real people selves to those unrealistic standards. And we've kind of moved away from that, haven't we, in the photo world? More and more, like we're not really interested in that anymore. And I think that the music world is going more and more towards like, what's the extreme of like, how much can we play with this? But it's really important to remember, as like you as an individual, what you're listening to is not someone in their living room having a sing. Right?
Yeah.
There are so many people who have worked on that recording, who have edited it, who have played with it, who've had a lot of fun. And I don't think that's wrong, but it's not real, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's good to know, because, I mean, for example, people who want to learn how to sing and they're listening to these songs and they're like, wow, how can I make my voice sound like that? It's like maybe a computer and lots of people working on your voice is going to be a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. But then at the same time, like, I do want to be really clear, the people who are at, you know, the top of their game professionally, they're really good singers. They're amazing singers who are also using tools that are part of technology that are making their voices amazing as well, you know, and a part of their art. But it's a tool. It's not that they're faking it, if you know what I mean. Like, they're still really good singers of their own accord. And on the flip side, like, it's really important to remember that, like, even on places like TikTok, people are doing that sound editing. So if you're coming across people who look like they're just singing in their bedrooms, and who sound amazing, and you're like, how could I sing like that? Like, be aware that they probably also have done sound editing. Because it is really common, and it's quite easy to do, actually, once you've learned how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, with our phones, we can do so much these days on apps and things like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about your work as a vocal coach. Like, what does that entail? What are you doing? How are you helping people as a vocal coach?
Okay, so I am obsessed with making singing feel fun and easy. And my specialty has become helping people reclaim their voices and find joy in their singing. I work with beginner and like intermediate returning singers on their voices, creating them a space for feeling safe to learn and explore and play with their voices so that they can really make singing a part of their lives. I also work with professional singers on specifically singing in French, because I'm really passionate about the French language. I studied French. I moved here quite a long time ago. I speak French fluently, but I'm really passionate about singing in French. So that's my little like side project. I love helping people to sing in French. And then I've also started working with people on their speaking voices, because I noticed that there are a lot of people who use their voices professionally but don't have any idea how to take care of their voices, and find themselves like not being able to do their job because their voice isn't working how they need it to. And it's not to the level that they need to go see a doctor, but it's still getting in the way. So that's people who are like doing hours and hours of meetings during the day, who are coaches, who don't run podcasts, like that sort of thing. And I have been working with people that way for the last year as well.
That's really interesting. Yeah. And what are like some ways we can protect our voice, like as people who speak all the time? Is there a difference between protecting your voice and speaking and protecting your voice as a singer?
Not really. I mean, it's the same part of the body. It's the same instrument. We're using it differently. The difference between speaking and singing is that singing is sustained. So we hold the sound for longer. But the way that we produce sound to speak and the way that we produce sound to sing is like not that different. And so the way that we would look after our voice when we're speaking and the way that we look after it when we're singing is also not that different. Like when you get to a really, really high level, you're always going to see differences. But just for anyone who's just doing everyday singing and speaking, it's basically the same principles. You want to be really well hydrated. Everyone needs to drink more water. You want to be really careful, and I mean careful as in intentional about your energy when you're speaking and making sure that you are energizing your voice. And then you also want to be aware of your connection to your body, because your voice is not just a little like obscure thing within your body. It is part of your whole body, and your whole body is involved in the sound production in your body. So we can do exercises to remind our brains that our voices and our bodies are connected, and that supports the voice better to produce sound, which is kind of cool.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because a lot of times we're just like, a voice is a voice. We don't even think about where our voice comes from. We're like, yeah, we're talking, like it's kind of interesting to really think about the connection between body and voice. And like you said, helping people find their voice and have fun with it. That's not something I've ever really thought about before.
Yeah, I really love how much potential there is to make such a difference for people, because I think, as you say, we don't talk about our voices. We don't think about our voices. We just assume that they're going to be there for us to do what we want to do with them. But often the people who come to me are the people who are kind of like, my voice isn't really working for me. It's not doing what I need it to do, and I don't know why. And more often than not, the solutions are not complicated. It's mostly about getting to know your own body, getting to understand how your voice works, and then making like small changes to how you connect with it, and becoming really intentional, which is, again, something that sounds kind of tricky, but actually I promise it's not that hard.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a matter of, being aware of these things. And is a lot of it to do with our breathing, like, as well?
So that's something that gets a really bad rep with singing, I think, that there's a lot of obsession with breathing, I would say. And I really prefer to stay away from breathing too much. I mean, we can do breath work, but I really believe that, like, we know how to breathe, right? Like, if we didn't know how to breathe, we wouldn't be alive. The breath, the breath is automatic. It's a reflex our body knows how to do. So actually, most of the breathing stuff that we do in my work is learning how to get out the way of the reflex, learning how to let the body do what it was designed to do and not get involved.
Yeah. So is the body designed to sing? Like you mentioned before, anyone can sing.
Yeah.
Is that really true? Because I've met some people with some pretty weird voices.
Well, yeah, I mean, anyone can sing. As I said, singing is just sustained sound. It's on a pitch. And when we say, like, someone can't sing, what we actually mean is, I don't like the sound of their singing, right? Like, it's not that they can't do the actual thing of singing.
Yeah.
Right? And so then it begs us to ask the question, where did that judgment come from? And do I have the right to tell someone else that they can't sing if it's bringing them joy?
So what we're saying is like everyone can sing, but not necessarily everyone will like what they're hearing coming out of someone's voice. I mean, how do we decide what a good singing voice is? Are there parameters around that?
So it's totally subjective and extremely culture bound. And what I mean by that is, like, we could say that everyone has their own opinion about what sounds good. But in fact, what it is that we have been taught that there are things that are to be considered as beautiful singing. So Western art culture tells us that a beautiful voice is perfectly on pitch, has like a nice legato line, which means that the sound, like, is unbroken. We get taught that the sound needs to be of a, like, particular color or timbre. These are things that we define as beautiful. But there are other cultures in the world that also have beautiful singing that doesn't necessarily, like, tick all of those boxes. And it's only when you start listening to lots of different variety of singing that you can start to hear, oh, like, beautiful singing is actually subjective, and I can change what my ear defines as beautiful singing. A little bit like how, Billie Eilish, probably when she first started out, people were like, that's not beautiful singing. She's not even got, like, a full tone. But actually, the way that she sings is becoming something that everyone would consider beautiful because she's changing the way that we listen to the voice. And I love that.
Yeah, she's changing the world of singing.
Yeah, and there are many artists who have done that. I think also it's good to remember that, like, beauty is not the only reason to sing. There are plenty of pop singers who have been incredible people in the arts world who, like, objectively do not have beautiful voices and still were incredible artists and were creative and had a message and shared that message with people. So I think the most important thing is, like, being able to love the sound that you're making for yourself. And that's something that I work with people on. But worrying a lot about what other people think of how you sound, like, is not going to serve you or anyone else. And next time, I mean, I would love everyone, like, next time you hear someone and you think, oh, they're a terrible singer, ask yourself, like, what right do I have to say that? And is there something from their performance or, like, from what I'm hearing that actually is beautiful? Maybe it's the fact that it's a mum singing to their child and maybe they're out of tune, but actually the moment itself is really beautiful.
Yeah. And it's just like any art, it's subjective, right? Like,
yeah,
it's all subjective, and somebody might like it, somebody might not. So at the end of the day, it's, it's about making yourself happy and connecting.
Absolutely. And I think, so many people don't sing because someone told them they can't sing.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
That's really tragic.
Yeah, it is. I think there's so many things from people's childhoods that they're like, oh yeah, someone told me that, and like they might be totally wrong. So everyone starts singing today, it's the time. Just jump in.
Yeah.
Because also the thing about music is it makes us happy. Like there's science behind it. Like music is so good for our souls.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally, I could go into like the real detail of it, but basically our nerve that innervates the voice is also the nerve that is our mind-body connection. And so to sing and to use that nerve, to activate that nerve, is actually going to calm your nervous system. It is literally going to make you feel better.
Wow, I had no idea. That's so interesting.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't combined that in some other like wellness woo-woo way, like yoga singing or something,
Oh, it does exist kind of on the periphery a little bit. It's starting to like pick up. I have definitely seen a bit of that. There is, I know in France it exists. I don't know about other countries, but there's a bit of a movement for learning how to do like singing for childbirth to help you like go get through the pain and
Wow.
calm your body. I know about singing yoga together. Like it is a thing, but it's kind of on the periphery at the moment, but it's coming, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's all connected and it actually makes us physically better. Like that's really fascinating.
Yeah. And so when you know that, like literally singing is going to make you feel better about yourself, about your day. It's going to literally make you happier because it's going to release endorphins that make you feel good. Like who cares what it sounds like?
Exactly. We all need to start singing. It's official.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the favorite parts of your job.
So I think my favorite thing about what I do is that I get to help people find joy in their lives. I think our lives are so focused on doing, on work, on obligations, on shoulds and musts. And with my work, we carve out time to just have fun and to play and to express what's going on in our lives. Often my clients like choose music to sing that is related to what's going on for them. Like I have a client working on Defying Gravity at the moment from Wicked, and she said to me, like, these lyrics are exactly my life right now, and this song is actually motivating me in other things that I'm doing. And I love that because, our lives, we're not like in silos, everything is connected. And so the art that we're doing can be a respite from, but also be informing everything else that we're doing in our lives. And I love that.
Yeah, that's really beautiful that, like you're helping someone feel that way and that, they found this. And like so many people enjoy singing. I remember growing up, my sister like loved singing. I used to always be like, I was probably the one that ruined her. It was like, stop singing, because I was her sister. But it's, you could just see like people light up. It just makes them happy and it connects. And then talk about some of the difficult parts of your job.
So I think it can be really challenging holding a space for people to be really vulnerable. Singing is something that is very vulnerable. That feeling when you're feeling really emotional and your voice like chokes up. That happens in voice lessons. Like it is normal to cry in a voice lesson or like a coaching session. And it's something that like I navigate with my clients a lot. So I have to take really good care of myself and be really careful to make sure I have really clear boundaries between me and my work, and that I don't get kind of sucked into whatever my clients are experiencing, so that I can just be there for them as a coach and not, take it all on. And I think that something that's not very well regulated in the voice coach and singing teaching industry is that it's not therapy, but it is kind of therapy adjacent, and knowing how to navigate that fine line and not go past what your role is really important. And something that I like care really deeply about, but it is hard work.
Yeah. And like you said, it can be very emotional. And so it's not just about, the music, the art, it's the emotional part too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's both the beauty and the challenge, right?
Definitely. And talk a little bit about how you would define creativity in your own words.
So I think for me, creativity is the expression of self, and it's about being as much as doing. Even though the creative acts are usually about creating something or making something or doing something, it's actually being in the moment that is the creativity part. And if you're just focused on the doing, you won't get the benefit.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think everyone kind of talks about those flow states, how we get in the moment when we're creating. And maybe that's like what we like about it the most is finally being like fully in the moment, which is so hard, especially in today's digital world.
Absolutely. I like to say, like, you got to focus on the trying, not the perfecting.
I like that. Yeah, I think so many people need to hear that because I think so many people don't even start things because they're like, it won't be good enough or it's not good enough. And it's like, no, it's like the doing is the journey, the doing is the good stuff.
Absolutely. And, I think not a fear of not being good enough is a huge reason why people don't sing. And I think that it's such a shame because good enough for who, right? Like, and who made the rules? I really like to get rid of the shoulds and the musts. Let's just have fun. Let's just play. And usually what happens is that once people let go of that fear and they let themselves experiment, we actually get to the place that they were aiming for anyway. People say to me, I actually like the sound of my voice now. I didn't think I ever would. Or I am excited to perform this because I'm really proud of how it sounds.
Isn't that funny how I think you probably find this, especially in your work, is most people don't like the sound of their own voice. And I read one time it's because our brain actually blocks out the sound of our voice when we're talking, because it'd be really annoying to hear yourself all the time. So when we hear ourselves, we're like, what the heck?
Yeah, one of the challenges of singing is that you have to actually pay attention to what your voice sounds like. And one of the reasons we really don't like listening to recordings of ourselves is because when you hear your own voice, you hear it both through your ears externally, but also through your inner ear and through the vibrations in your head. And of course, in a recording, you only hear what's picked up by the microphone, which is only part of what you would hear of your own voice. And so sometimes you don't even recognize a recording of your voice, and it can be really unpleasant to listen to. And you can also think, that's what I sound like to other people.
Yeah, exactly. So when we're listening to a recording of ourselves, that's not what we sound like to other people?
No, because the recording's not going to pick up all of the sound waves that are coming out. They're not, and it's not going to pick up. I mean, I don't know like exactly all the science behind it, but it's not going to pick up all the detail. So, and I mean, this is kind of going back to why there are sound engineers.
Yeah, definitely, because there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, and part of that sound engineering that's happening for professional musicians is actually creating a much more like multi-layered sound than just one microphone can pick up.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And tell us like the best advice you've ever been given as far as like your creative life goes.
That's a really good question. I think that the best advice I was ever given is probably something that I've actually got printed on my wall, which is let your body take charge of the voice, your whole strong body. And I think it's a really good reminder that actually your voice is part of your body and it is designed to work well. And oftentimes the reason that it's not working the way you want it to is because you're thinking about it too much. You're trying to take over. And sometimes you just got to let your body do what it's designed to do.
I like that. Yeah, it's like when you overthink it, then it kind of falls apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is probably true of everything creative, right?
Yeah, it's just get into that flow state, just let it come, let it go. And it's basically a meditation.
Exactly.
And talk about some future projects you're excited to share.
So most of the work that I do is actually kind of ongoing, But I do have a musical theatre karaoke party coming up in June 6th. And that's an online karaoke party. All my clients come and perform whatever they've been working on. We put up the lyrics on the screen and we sing along from our own homes with our microphones off, which is really great because you can just have an absolute party with no pressure. It's really fun. And we have done a couple already, like on different themes. The last one was film TV. So the next one coming up is musical theatre. We're doing one in September or October on Disney, which I'm excited about as well. So that's really fun. People can choose to come and perform, or they can choose to just come and participate, sing along. And then I do actually have some openings in my studio for people who want to come and work on their singing kind of long term. And that's the actual voice studio. They're called my Kia members, after the New Zealand bird, the Kia. I do Vocal SOS coaching one-on-one for people who are needing help with their speaking voices. And I also do bespoke work for people who need help with singing in French. And I say bespoke because every person who comes to me with that topic, it's totally on it's such a different project each time that we just come up with what do we actually need here. So if you need help with singing in French, come talk to me. We can make it work. If you need help with your speaking voice because it's not doing what you need it to do in your work, or you're finding that you are losing your voice doing your work, we can fix that probably. And if you want to sing, you know where to find me.
Definitely. And do you work with people online too, or do they always have to be in person?
So I actually work exclusively online. I should have said that earlier. I switched to working online actually pre-pandemic, and I love it because it creates so much accessibility for people. I think it's really hard to fit singing into your life in a busy schedule, and being able to do it from your own home makes it so much easier.
Definitely. That's great news for our listeners. They can reach out to you and learn with you online. And where can people connect with you and learn more about your work?
So I like to hang out on Instagram. I'm glvoicefr, at glvoicefr, and I'm also on LinkedIn. That's my new place to hang out. I'm really enjoying LinkedIn, and that's my full name, Georgia Aussenac. And then I also have an email list that people can join. I write a newsletter called Voice Notes, and the links to join that are in the places you would expect.
Oh, I like the name, Voice Notes. That's really cute.
Yeah.
We'll share all of that in the show notes. And thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me. It's been really fun.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.